Hey there, this is Heather. I woke up this morning and I was having some low back pain, as well as a little bit of sciatica tension. So I just put together this sequence in the name of that. I'm sure I'm not the only one experiencing that. So this yin yoga practice is meant to release your low back tension as well as a little bit of sciatica. So I hope that you enjoy and that you feel some release. If you have yoga blocks at home, it would be great to access those. If you don't, it's also fine. There's really only one pose, maybe two poses that we would use that for. You may also be able to use some empty boxes or maybe a book or something like that. If you have any kind of blanket or towel, that would be great. We are going to use that. So please find one of those and just fold it up and have it at your ready. And then also we're going to have a pillow for our more restorative poses towards the end. And again, I think we'll only use this for one pose. So if you have those things available, that's great. If you don't, no worries. We'll just make do. So we're all going to start out in a child's pose. So you can come to your hands and knees and sit back on the heels. And because we're releasing low back pain, you're not going to want to put the knees out in a wide-legged child pose. And this really releases the hips and puts more tension on the low back. So instead, you're going to bring the knees in to touch and then just curl the body down, melting over and allowing gravity to win. Now, if you don't feel comfortable in a child's pose and you have some props available, you can take a pillow or some blocks underneath you as a bit of support. You can put a block up at medium height or whatever height kind of works for you to melt over. You can use your pillow like this, or you can even make a little stand out of your hands, your fists, so that your forehead can find some rest and your neck muscles can begin to release. A block can do the same thing. So hopefully with all of those kind of options in mind, you can find a place that really feels balanced to you. And just start to check in with your breath there. Notice the quality of your inhale, the quality of your exhale. And just allow yourself to be really passive here. No need to extend the arms forward in an active way. Just really allow yourself to melt down, maybe even push into the hands and push the hips back onto the heels so you can feel a little bit of a release in the low back. Really give yourself the permission to land on your mat, to leave the rest of your day behind you, and whatever might be going on, and to just really be here in your body, maybe for the first time all day. Throughout any yoga practice, we use the breath as a tool to stay mindful, to stay in the body, and really, yoga is a moving meditation. So the more that you can remain in the experience that you're having, as opposed to thinking of other things or trying to escape maybe some tension that we're trying to push out, the better the experience will be for you. So I hope that you can find some space in your low back and in your mind and in your heart. So spend another few breaths here in child's pose. Feeling the low back muscles start to relax and have a gentle stretch. On your next breath, you're going to push on up to hands and knees, tabletop. And we're going to find a few rounds of cat and cow. So you can place your knees however wide as feels comfortable for you today. And then make sure the wrists are right under the shoulders. And on your inhale, you're going to arch the back. Maybe you tuck the toes. Look up and inhale. And when you're ready to exhale, curl the spine in. Look or aim to look in the direction of your belly button. And on your inhale, come back up to cow. Exhale, using your own breath pace as a guide, finding cat. Take a few rounds using your own pace. Whether you're moving faster or slower than I am is not the point. Really use your breath as a guide. On the inhale, we arch up for cow. On the exhale, we arch and round down for cat. Okay, so we are going to move into a forward fold as our first held position. If this is your first yin yoga class, it's important to know that these poses are held for a longer period of time. They're passive. They're really stretching and releasing tension in the fascia, the connective tissue in the body. So we're going to be doing fewer poses than you would do in a vinyasa yoga class, but it really allows you to release your tension. I was taught that it takes 2 full minutes for a muscle to truly, fully release. So yin is just tailored exactly to that. So, in our forward fold, if you have a wall near you, that would be great. I could have mentioned that at the beginning. That probably would have been helpful for you. Sorry about that. I'm going to show you using a wall and not using a wall. So, if you're just doing a forward fold, you can come on up however you like. And in your forward fold, the point is not to straighten and extend the legs. So you're going to keep a bend in the knee. And you're going to just really let yourself melt down. Release the head and neck, shake them out. You can place the hands down on the ground. And really, we're just feeling gravity really release everything down. Now, if you don't have the wall, you can stay there and maintain. If you are using a wall, we're going to do the same thing. But I'm going to use this door. So you can stand away from the wall or whatever you're using. You can put your hands out and then start to walk your hands down, kind of like we're doing a short downward facing dog. And then we're going to find that same forward fold, but we're going to slowly walk our feet forward until the mid or upper back is touching the wall. Now, when you found that place, you're going to gently push into the wall so that you feel the support. And you can even use it to find a little bit more depth for yourself, allowing yourself to bend a little bit further than you might be able to without the wall. And then, again, just release everything down. This should be a really passive place. We're not trying to accomplish anything when we do yoga. We're trying to be in the moment and just experience our sensation, our breath. That's the whole practice. There's no goal. There's nothing we're seeking. So just be here. Be with your breath. Maybe your quads or your thighs start to get a little bit fired up in this pose. Maybe some other things are coming up for you. Whatever they are, let them pass and use your inhale and your exhale to really be here now. And without rushing, if you're at the wall, you're going to, again, exit how we entered. So start to walk the feet back into your short downward facing dog. And slowly walk the hands up the wall in front of you. Taking your time to come up to a standing position. Take a breath here. And then you can come back to sit on your mat. Sit on your knees and just close your eyes for a moment. Starting out with a forward fold can feel really intense. It can bring up a lot. So take this moment to really re-ground yourself in your body in this moment. We're not looking at the past. We're not making a story about how it's going or how it's going to go or anything like that. Inhale and exhale. Okay, now we're going to find Sphinx pose. So you're going to come onto your belly, whatever way is comfortable for you. And you're going to keep your elbows under your shoulders. We're finding our first little gentle back bend of the practice. So in this place, you should feel really strong in the front. So we shouldn't be dumping the weight in between our shoulders, but rather really just gently push enough up out from your elbows, spread the fingers, push down through the fingertips. And then look ahead. Maybe you find one point to fix your gaze, or maybe you close your eyes. You can feel the sensation of your belly inflating and deflating on the mat. In a yin yoga practice, it's important to find a place that you can sustain, that you can maintain with relative comfort and ease. It shouldn't feel super easy. You should still be feeling some sensation here, but it shouldn't feel painful or too much. It shouldn't be your total edge or your limit. So really it's about learning how to balance and kind of respect your body and yourself as a whole. And as we hold these poses for a longer time, the intensity does tend to increase the longer we're here. So while you think you might be able to maintain your 100% depth in a pose, after 3 or 4 minutes, it will prove to be unsustainable. So please just respect yourself and find a place that you can maintain while still reaping the benefits. Once we settle into these poses in yin yoga, as they grow more intense, you may reach a point that that you don't want to hold it anymore and you need a little break. It's totally fine to take a break, pull yourself out, or rest your torso down on the mat, and then re-enter. Or can you maybe find a little bit less of engagement? So that goes for any of the poses in this practice or any other yin yoga practice that you may be doing. Okay, so in your readiness, we're going to melt down to the mat. You can bring your elbows out to the side. You can either stretch the arms out or maybe make a little pillow for your head. Just take a moment of stillness, or you can find some movement. But we're really trying to practice the, sorry, that distracted me. We're really trying to practice listening to the body and really being in tune with what it's asking for. We're going to push up and back into another child's pose. Just for a moment, just briefly. Again, ensuring that the knees are touching in and not splaying out too far to the side. Okay, and you can come back up to hands and knees. If you need more space like I do, you can walk your knees forward. We're going to find saddle pose. So for saddle, we're going to sit. We're going to sit on our heels and bring your toes to touch behind you. So the knees will splay out, whatever angle is fine, whatever they naturally do. And then we are going to bring our torso backward. So you may come right here, and depending on how much you've been sitting or what your body is feeling, your hip flexors might be quite tight from sitting a lot in our lifestyles right now. So whatever level you want to go to, again, to find that place that you can maintain is completely fine. So you can stay here and maybe drop your head back, close your eyes. If you want to find a little more depth, you can try to come down onto your elbows. And you see my knees are lifting off the ground. That's totally fine. I don't want to jam them down or jam anything, especially with our knee joints, which are the most sensitive. So I'm going to stay here. If you have more space and you want to find even more depth, you can rest the whole torso down onto the mat. So this is a great place to be, but please don't just push yourself there. Please don't push yourself there to get to 100% or to reach some maximum or to impress yourself or someone you may be practicing with at home. Really listen to your body as opposed to your mind or your ego. Whatever place you found, let the head drop back. And just find a really passive place here. Allow gravity to really take over. There's nothing you need to do. Nothing you need to accomplish. Feel the weight of the head pulling down. And if you're feeling any tension or weirdness in the knee joint, that's kind of screaming no to you, then please pull out and you can find a child's pose or any other pose in the meantime. But please keep your knee joints safe. It's not worth compromising them. Really tuning in with the inhales, with the exhales. more cycle of breath here. And then you're going to gently push up back onto your hands, but keep the legs where they are. Now, you're going to flip your fingertips so they're pointing away from your body, and we're going to find a little lift in the hips here. So, at whatever angle kind of works for you, just bring the hips up however high. It's really not about being impressive. It's about finding that place where we're finding a stretch, we're finding a release. And this feels really good in the hip flexors. My low back is releasing with this gentle back bend. And when you're ready, take your time, sit back on your heels. You can just sit normally for a moment in Virasana, or if you would rather find some kind of free movement of your own, feel free to do so. But whatever you're choosing, maybe you close the eyes, maybe you don't, but come back to your breath. Notice your inhale and your exhale. Feel any sensation that may be changing in the body as we give ourselves time to restore after each pose. Now, with any pose, with any yin yoga pose, feel free to hold it as long as you like. So since this is a video, you have the beauty of pausing me and spending longer if you'd like to in any pose. So if you find a really sweet spot, a sticky spot, and a pose is really working that for you, please feel free to give yourself more time. Okay, great. So we are going to move to supported fish. So if you have blocks, take those out. Those are going to be really useful here. If you don't have blocks, then you can access your blanket. Okay, and for either version, if you're using the blocks, we're setting up for supported fish pose. So for supported fish, you're going to take one block and put it on its medium height. That's going to go kind of right behind our shoulder blades. And then the other block, you can put it at the highest height, or I like to put it at the medium height, so you can also kind of play with what you like, what feels good on your neck. And if you have the blocks and you're ready to enter the supported fish, you just bend the knees and use the hands to gently curl over the blocks. Again, so that block is lined up on your spine. And then the upper block supports the head. The arms splay out to the side. And today, instead of, well, I'll let you decide, but for lower back release, you can walk the feet out to the edges of the mat and then knock the knees in. If you'd rather have a little more stretch and release in the hip flexors, then maybe you walk the feet out and extend your legs in front of you. Okay, so that is supported fish. Again, if you don't have blocks, we're going to do the exact same thing with the blanket. So take the blanket, and you can either fold it really tightly, or I'm going to roll my blanket so it's a nice firm surface for me to roll back on. Now, same exact idea. The most important thing here is that your head and neck are not on the blanket, but that they're splaying out behind. So I'm going to just bring this a little forward, situate my tailbone right at the base, and then I'm going to slowly arch my way down over my blanket. Again, feeling that gentle opening. You feel the shoulders, the heart opening up to the sky. You can bring your hands out wide if that feels nice to really open the pectoral muscles and the shoulder girdle. And again, with the knees, take your choice. Either knock them in, keeping your feet at about mat's width, or you can extend them out in front of you. Wherever you are, find a place that you can maintain, where you're comfortable, where you can find stillness, where you not fidget. You can bend the knees and bring the base of the feet down to the mat. And then if you're on the blocks especially, be really mindful. You can put your arms out to one side, roll over to not crane the neck or anything else. And take a moment in this fetal position to just release, feel the neutrality in your back and notice the difference in sensation. And then you're going to push yourself up to sit, letting your head come up last. All right, moving any props that you used out to the side. We're going to find a caterpillar pose. So for this, you're going to extend both legs out in front of you. And to start out, you can flex the feet. Now make the spine really long. Feel like a string is pulling your head up to the sky. Really feel the length in your spine. And then you're going to keep that length and start to arch your torso forward, walking your fingertips closer towards your feet. Maybe they land on the mat. Maybe you grab hold of the feet. Whatever feels comfortable and, again, passive and relaxed. Now, when you've reached a point where you can't go any deeper, that is when you'll allow the neck and head to curl and release down. Inhaling and exhaling. If your feet are still actively flexed, you can give them a little wiggle. Allow them to settle in a more comfortable position. Feel yourself being breathed. So notice how we like to take control of things and manipulate our breath. And try to do what we think is best by forcing. Yet notice how your breath maintains itself. You can release everything
Relax everything, let gravity win, do nothing. And yet your body will breathe you. It can be a kind of beautiful moment if you can feel that and just be impressed and appreciative that our bodies are so strong, our wills to breathe, our wills to live are so strong. As you remain here in your caterpillar pose, you may find that a little creaky release in the legs, in the neck, in the back as you start to open up those back muscles. Maybe your head gets a little bit closer to your knees, or maybe it doesn't. Either way is fine. We're not here to judge our practice, we're here to practice. We'll take a few final cycles of breath here in our caterpillar pose. And exiting how we entered, pull the head and neck up, walk the hands backward. And take a moment for a counter pose of your choice. Maybe you lean back, maybe you butterfly the feet, finding any movement or stillness that the body is asking for here. Alright, so we're going to come down to lie on our backs for banana pose. I wish I had a bird's eye view camera so I could show you from above, but essentially we're going to be curling our body in a banana shape to one side and then the other to stretch out the hip muscle, the sciatic nerve, and get into that low back pain or tension that you may be also experiencing. So come on down to lie on your back. You're going to extend the legs out in front of you. You can bring the hands above you to touch, above the head. And then you're going to walk the heels to the left side until you feel some sensation. Again, finding that place that's the right spot for you for today's yin practice. And then I'm going to walk the shoulders and the hands also out to the left side. Maybe I'll clasp the hands to find a more passive place. I could put my hands, one hand on top of the other, maybe the right on top of the left. And in this place, The right hip shouldn't be popping up off the mat. So however far you go, make sure that you can really maintain both hips rooted down into the ground. And then once you've found your place in your banana pose, close the eyes and bring yourself back to your breath. Root yourself in your sensation in this experience of inhaling and exhaling. You can imagine that your inhale stretches the muscle and your exhale releases the tension. Feel yourself being breathed. See if you can let go of your control and just be an observer in the body. And when you're ready, you can start to walk the heels, shoulders all back to center. Drape your arms across your body and give yourself a little squeeze, maybe rolling from side to side to release the shoulders. And then find any other movement. Maybe you bend the knees, maybe you find a little bridge pose, maybe you hug in the knees. Roll around on your low back, giving yourself a gentle massage, checking in with how it's feeling now as compared to the beginning of class. Okay, and we're going to find our banana pose on the other side, so you can extend your legs out in front of you. Walk the feet and the heels out to the right. Bring your hands up above your head, and again, walk your shoulders and your arms also out to the right, finding this banana pose shape, and then releasing. Maybe you put one hand in the other, maybe you grasp hold of your hands. Find passivity, find some peace and some stillness here. Inhaling to find space in the muscle, exhaling to release tension. Inhale for spaciousness, exhale to release. Space, exhale, release. Notice if there's anything you're subconsciously holding on to. Maybe it's your jaw. Maybe it's your forehead or your eyebrow being furrowed. Maybe you're holding tension in the shoulders or in the low back to maybe hold a place that's a little bit too deep for you. Really listen to the wisdom of the body. It will give you the feedback to tell you what is best. then gently walk the heels back to center, taking your time. Walk the shoulders back to center. And you're going to hug the arms, but this time put the arm that feels a little bit more awkward to put on top. So we're finding that other side. Give yourself a little hug, maybe roll back in front. You can bend the knees. Again, finding any movement or stillness to release what we have opened. And then with bent knees, just close your eyes for a moment, laying on your back. Just feel the body, feel the breath. Okay. Now we're gonna bring the knees over to the left side for a supine twist. Now it's up to you. You can extend just the top leg, or if you'd like, you can extend both legs out to the side. Okay? And once you've done that, I'm gonna just move my legs so you can see my torso. You are gonna open up the chest, aiming to send this right shoulder over onto your mat, extending your right arm out to the side. Now, if that's a little bit too challenging to accomplish, you can take your blanket, your pillow, your block, whatever you have, to put under one of the knees or in between the legs, finding a comfortable space to stay in. You can send your gaze out to the right, over your right fingertips. Or if that produces tension in the neck, you can keep the head neutral, looking up at the sky, closing your eyes in whatever place you've decided and chose for yourself. See what you can let go of here. Again, this is a passive pose, so it's not meant to look perfect. It's meant to feel perfect. So find a place where you really feel comfortable. You feel the sensation, but you have ease. When you're ready, you can bend the knees and come back to center. Find any stillness or movement before we come to the other side. So we're going to send the knees to the right side, extending out that top leg, maybe extending both legs, and also reaching out, trying to land our left shoulder on the mat. Oopsies. And if you find that your legs are kind of crawling down, you can just bring them up a little bit. You're not going to make a perfect L shape while maintaining this shoulder on the ground, but we can aim for a little bit more depth, if that feels okay for you today. Send the gaze out over the left fingertips. Close the eyes. Let everything melt down. See what you can release, what you can let go of. Maybe it's tension in the neck. You can relax the jaw. Relax the forehead. Relax the eyelids and the eyebrows. Relax the hands. Relax the arms and the shoulders. Relax the muscles of the feet. And feel yourself being breathed. Inhaling and exhaling completely naturally with the pace that your body decides. Taking your time, going to come back to center. Again, keeping your knees bent. Just take a moment here in center, in neutral, to just take a few slow breaths in and out. You can feel the sensation of your belly inflating and deflating. And then again, walk your feet out to the edges of your mat, allowing your knees to knock in together in center, really creating an expansive lower back. And as we start to wind down our practice, if you have a sweater or an additional blanket nearby, feel free to snuggle up with it. Okay. So we're going to come into a supported bridge pose. So again, for this pose, you'll need a block or a book or a box or something like that. We are going to be propping this under our hips. So we are going to be doing this first at a higher level and second at a lower level. So if you are using a books or a box or something like that at home, you're going to start with a higher height, maybe something similar to this, about 6 inches or so. And then afterwards you can maybe remove a few of the books to maintain about 3 inches. Okay, so to start off, we're going to come back onto our backs. And first, just lift your hips up into a bridge pose. Now you're going to take this block and you're going to prop it underneath your sacrum. So it's that kind of stable, bony area right above the tailbone. It's kind of right above the butt and right below the back. So find that spot. It should feel really supportive. It's really important here that you don't put the block on your low back. If you do that, your spine is going to arch down and overextend. So just make sure you don't have this kind of wonky place. It should feel really sturdy and stable underneath your sacrum here. Okay, now in this medium height, you might walk your feet out again and knock your knees in. That can create a lot of space in the low back. Or if that's not feeling like it's working for you, you can just stay here with your knees upright. That's another beautiful place to be. If you want to find a little bit more depth in the back bend and in the hip flexors, you can walk the feet out and just rest on your heels, let your toes splay out. You can bring your arms to the side. Maybe roll your head side to side here. This pose is great for reversing back pain from hunching over our devices or our desks all day. Challenge yourself to find a spot of total stillness. You can focus on the sensation of the breath coming in and out through your nose. Feel the cool air as it enters through your nostrils. Noticing the warmth as you exhale through the nose. Again, just being breathed by your body, not forcing, not judging, just letting it be. Slowly start to walk the feet back in to a bent position if they were extended. And we're going to engage for a moment just to lift the hips gently up. We're going to remove the block or a few books or whatever you're using at home to come down to our lowest setting of about 3 inches or so. It could be more or less depending on what your body is calling for. And again, we're going to reposition that block in the same place right underneath our sacrum. So above the butt, below the low back. It should feel really supportive here. And again, choose a leg variation that works for you. If you want, you can experiment with one of the other versions if you haven't tried it yet. Either extending the legs out, keeping the knees bent, upright, or walking the feet to the edges of the mat and knocking the knees in. Resettle back into the supported bridge pose, feeling that gentle restorative arch in the back as gravity pulls all of your muscles and the weight of your body down towards the ground. Relax the hands and the fingers. Relax the jaw. Relax the face, the eyelids, the eyebrows. when you're ready, taking your time, walk the feet back, rooting the feet down on the ground with bent knees. Gently lift the hips up off your block or your books or whatever you have. Slide your props out of the way and then slowly enjoy the roll down to rest your full low back onto the mat. This is one of my favorite moments after supported bridge, of feeling this real openness in the low back. So you can choose to keep the knees bent. We are going to prepare for our final resting pose. So I'm going to offer a few variations and feel free to experiment and then choose what you like or just pick something that you know your body is craving. So oftentimes when I come into this position after supported bridge, I don't want to move, so don't feel like you have to. You can stay right here. You can also walk the heels back out to mat's width and then knock your knees in. You can also walk the feet out, finding a traditional shavasana, splaying the toes out to the sides, laying your palms face up on the ground. Or if you would like to use your props to find a little bit more of a restorative version, you can simply roll your blanket up and place it underneath the knees in your shavasana, laying back on your mat in that corpse pose position. I just wanted to say that can be it's really great to have the knees bent. That can also provide release in the low back. So this is a great place to be. If you have lots of props and you want to get fancy, you can also find a Stonehenge pose. So in order to do that, you're going to need your blocks or books that can kind of stay up on a higher height. You're going to make two little towers side by side. These are kind of the legs of your table, of your Stonehenge. And then you'll take your pillow and drape it on top to make a little Stonehenge table for yourself. Now you can also, if you're not using your blanket, use that to drape across yourself, over your body. At this point, especially in a yin practice, you might be feeling a little bit chilly from calming down the nervous system. So if you are choosing Stonehenge, you bring your hips beside your little table, and then putting your weight on your hands, you're going to rotate your hips so that your calves can rest securely on your pillow, letting your feet drop down, and then slowly coming down onto the back, tucking the shoulder blades underneath you, extending the arms out, or maybe putting one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Release everything. There's nothing to manipulate or to fix. Just be here in your body, noticing your breath. tension in the lungs, the subtle reverberations through the body. You can wiggle the fingers and the toes, starting to reawaken the body and the sensation. When you're ready, you're going to bring your right arm up beside your head, your ear. And then you're going to roll over with bent knees into a fetal position, resting your head on your arm, finding a moment of pause here. And then take your left hand and gently push yourself up to a seated position. Maybe you maintain closed eyes. You can sit up on your pillow or a block to prop up the hips. Once you find a comfortable seat, just rest the hands on the knees or in the lap. Find a tall spine. Take a moment to notice the sensation of the body, the expansiveness in the low back, maybe the sense of peace and ease in the mind. Take a big inhale. Inhale as much air as you can. And let it out with a sigh. A few more of those. Inhale really deep. Exhale, make some sound. Inhale really deeply. Let it out. One more. Inhale. Let it out. Bring the hands to heart center. And thank yourself for taking this time to self-care, physically, mentally, emotionally. For giving yourself this time to really take care of yourself and your body. Thank you for joining me, and if you'd like, you can bring your hands to heart center and bow forward. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. I know my low back feels much better. I hope that if you were having low back tension or pain, that you're also feeling better after this practice. And I hope that you're starting to fall in love with yin yoga like I am totally in love with it. Thank you guys again. Let me know if you have any questions or if anything didn't work for you. I'm very open and happy to receive any feedback. And thank you. Have an awesome, awesome day. Bye.